Hi, everyone, and welcome to Zen and Tech, our weekly podcast focused on centering your inner geek and using technology to help deal with the stresses of your connected life. I'm Rene, and your host for the show is Georgia. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that while Georgia is a therapist, she's not your therapist. Everything said or implied on this episode is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and shouldn't be taken in any way as a replacement for personal, professional care. Woohoo, Georgia, we made it back on the air.
We did. And how perfect. The show we're dealing with is work stress, and we lost all audio for a little while there. So
yeah, and I had to struggle. You were very patient. I appreciate it. You were a classy talent to work with.
No, I was just faking it, actually.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have a bunch of hater emails in a second, aren't I?
Exactly. All from me.
Nice. So how are you doing?
I'm doing really well.
I'm stressed.
Well, is the stress from work?
You know, partially, and I spoke with Jeff about this on our Super Functional show, but I've gone full-time with Mobile Nations. I get to make great shows like this for a living now. But I used to work at an office when I would, I'd get up, I'd have my breakfast, I'd do my exercises, I'd leave for work at the same time, get to work at the same time, have lunch at the same time, come home at the same time. And yes, there were things like dealing with office workers and a horrible commute, but there was a structure. And now that I work alone, I wake up, I have no idea what day or time it is. I just keep working until I collapse. And it's a very different lifestyle, and I'm not used to managing it.
And the most difficult part is probably managing your time.
Yeah, I like I said, I've lost all awareness of time. And we did the daylight savings time switch over, so now I have no idea when it's dark or light anymore either.
Which doesn't help.
Help me, Georgia. You're my only hope.
Since it's dark earlier, you should be switching off earlier, and that's not happening. So you're actually going against what would be the natural pro quo.
Yeah. And because I'm in Canada, it's like dark at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and
it's like 5 o'clock. It's getting dark.
So how do I deal with all this work stress, Georgia? Are there tools? Is there a strategy? Is there something? Am I doomed?
There's definitely tips on how to deal with it, and we'll go through some of them together. And hopefully you can try to choose, 5 or 6 that you're not doing and practice each one every week, because they do actually help.
Under the theory that turnabout is fair play, do you actually get stressed dealing with stressed people? Like, is your job stressogenic?
No, I don't. The wonderful thing there's it is slightly stressful if you're dealing with a very difficult case, but I'm doing breathing techniques. I'm speaking to people and making a difference in their lives, and they're getting better and feeling better. So that's really exciting. I often come home even after a 13-hour day feeling energized and happy, though I do need a certain period of time to decompress where I'm not going to be able to handle a lot of overloaded thoughts, or the ability to multitask goes away as well.
So it's sort of like if you're running a spinner class, you're always exercising because that's your job. So it's like you're fit, but you just have to be fit.
Yes, but the mental idea of having to carry a lot of things is what becomes difficult. Yeah. And I think that's one of the first things that I learned when I used to work at a women's crisis center was that you can't carry it all home with you. If you do, you're going to be overladen with other people's issues that you can't actually help. Your purpose is to support, is to help build a path with someone else, but it's up to them to walk it. And I'm very comfortable with that difference.
To follow, not to wallow.
Right.
So let's say that you're not, Georgia. Let's say that you have one of these high-tech, geeky jobs. You work at Google or Apple or Microsoft, and people are calling you and saying your pixels are wrong and it's a not appropriate shade of blue, and why aren't you working on Sunday because Steve Ballmer is going to come by and demand that his roll bar is working. I mean, how do we deal with this 24-hour-a-day, 7-day a week, 365-day a year climate of work? I mean, unless the BlackBerry servers go down, we're like on the hook all the time.
Well, always remember, I think that in this way technology works against us. Always remember that you are being paid for a certain amount of time. And you have to, especially if you work at home or you work for yourself, you should not be answering emails at all hours of the night unless that is your job to do that. If you're maintaining a server and part of your work job is, if a server goes down at 3 o'clock in the morning that you have to go in, then that should be one, in part of your pay, and two, an agreement to you. But if your boss is sending you emails at 11 o'clock at night and your job is a 9 to 5 and you are being paid a salary of a 9 to 5 job, it is fair for you to only answer your emails at 8 o'clock in the morning and to state that I will answer my emails after 5 when I get home. That's something that people often do. I see people getting emails or text messages at all hours of the day, and they're answering them, which is telling people it's okay to do that. It upsets me greatly.
I've found it's almost like a binary state. If I wake up in the morning and I reach for my iPhone or my iPad, that's it. I am working until it is dark again and I collapse from fatigue. But if I wake up and I don't even look at my technology and I get up and I start, I make my morning smoothie like we discussed on our nutrition episode, and I start doing all my super functional exercises, then it's easier for me to maintain that. But I haven't been able to make that a habit yet.
It's so important. I think that people allow themselves to be abused and allow their technology to do that. I know that someone, I forget who it was, but that they said that they only answer emails at 12 o'clock the next day. That's it. And everyone knew that their email would be answered, but it would be at 12 o'clock the next day. And that was the manner in which they did it. Because if not, especially if you're working in a company where a lot of people want a lot of different things from you, they will send you emails at all hours of the day. And if you start replying to them, within an hour, they will expect that. You have set the bar to being a 24-hour work person. And again, another tech rule, turn off your notifications about getting emails when you are not on duty for work. Turn them off. You shouldn't be hearing beeping when you're at supper or any time that you're afterwards.
Yeah. So you explained in previous episodes why we're stressed, that stress is a natural evolutionary byproduct. Why are we stressed at work then? How is work like the mountain lion about to eat us, or the elephant about to trample us?
I think that this comes back from our parents' generation, in that work was exceptionally important, and people now with different crises are really happy to be working and they don't want to lose their jobs, which is fabulous, and I understand that. But sometimes we allow people then to abuse us because of that. And you have to be able to say, you know what, some things are not worth it. If someone is going to be taking advantage of you and you are allowing them to take advantage of you, as Pink says from the chat room, we teach people how to treat us, it isn't worth it. And I know that some people need their jobs, but you also need to establish boundaries of things that are okay and not okay. And if you have not already had a work agreement of what things are expected of you and signed off of it, it's always a good thing to do when you start a new job, so that both people understand. And as people try to add more onto your plate, which people will do, you can specifically say that this is not part of what my job is to do, and deal with it in another manner.
So, I guess all right, let's break it down then. Because we've talked before about stress in general. We've talked about better time management. We've talked about putting yourself first. How do all of these things come together? I mean, beyond the little tips, what are the big picture things that we have to do to kind of get control of stress in our workplace?
Well, let's go. In the end, you have to know that, and my husband always says this, that you work to live, you don't live to work. A job is a means to an end. If all you are doing is working, you're not living. And that's not fair to you. It's not fair to your family. It's not fair to the people that are around you, because after a while, everyone will expect more from you from your workplace. And as Sakralid mentions in the chat room, the more that you do, that might lead to promotions and other things. Actually, I could say that in some ways that might be true, but I think that in the end, you want someone that will work for you, that will want to work for you. It will not be resentful, which is what's going to happen if you take more onto your plate, and that is able to balance and have a very balanced life. If you can't have a happy home life, exercise, eat well, and take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to do the job well either.
Yeah.
So people are worth more when they are balanced, because they won't get stressed, they won't have to take days off, they're going to be healthier, and they're going to be happier at work. And in the end, happier people are more productive.
It probably gives you a good clue as to the nature of your employer too, because if they want to burn you out, odds are that it's like riding a horse to death. They figure they'll get another horse. As soon as you burn out, they'll just get the next person. Whereas a different kind of company probably wants to find valuable people that they want to have long-term value from, and they're going to want you to have a well-rounded life so they can get that value from you for decades and not just years.
And you'll get more out of yourself. In the end, sometimes some jobs are just not worth it. People will not care. They want to have someone that they can take care of as a slave in their work environment. But that's not being true to yourself. Of course, if you need to eat, and this is the only job that you're able to get, I understand that sometimes you have to deal with things that are not of the best way, and you're going to have to suffer for a period of time. But when you are in a better position, you should make sure that you take care of yourself. And we'll go through some of my, like I have little rules of things that you should never break.
I need them now.
Okay. One of my favorite things is you should never eat lunch at your desk. I hate that. I hate when I hear people are eating and working at the same time. It angers me. Like, it infuriates me because this is this is the time that you're supposed to give to repose, to take a break, to spend time with yourself, to not have to deal with work. And what's going to happen is if you're sitting at your desk and you work in an office-like environment, people are going to come up and they're going to give you more work and they're going to talk to you about things. And this doesn't give your body that need it is to relax and enjoy. So if you're doing that, stop. I'm not saying stop once or twice and every once in a while eat at your... No, never eat lunch at your desk. Leave it. Leave everything there. The piles of things, leave it. You can leave a notebook up so that people can leave you notes, and you'll take care of them when you come back. But you have a right to eat. You need to eat. And it shouldn't be at work. If you can leave the office place, even better. If you can take a walk, you can sit outside, or if you can go to a restaurant, please do that.
Does that have to do with removing yourself from the stress state? I mean, if you're eating at your desk, you're probably still in the stress zone. You're never giving your body a break.
Yes. Yes, and it's allowing people to take advantage of you, which angers me. And Sagrada asks, is it good to eat standing up? If you've been sitting at your desk all day and you want to walk around and eat, that's fine. But know that while you are exercising or moving around, you're not digesting exceptionally well. So it might be better if you eat somewhere else. You take a walk, which is good to get some breathing, and then you eat sitting down, and you can take a mild walk or eat slowly, but as you take a walk. But know that while you're exercising or doing any types of movements, blood is leaving from your vital organs in order to go to your main muscles in order to do that.
Yeah, so your body's not focused. And that's a big thing, right? It's focus. It's focusing off your job, focusing on something relaxing and sustaining. What are some other good tips you have? What should we be eating? Does it matter what we eat while we're at work?
It would be nice if it's healthy and energizing. So fat-laden, sugary foods are good for little, tiny, short pick-me-ups. They're better than nothing. But if you can eat something that has nuts, some dried fruits...
my entree of Twinkies and main course of Ho-Hos are not recommended?
Well, they did a study, and actually, if you're not having breakfast, those are better than nothing for our bodies. And know also, if you're not sleeping well enough, you're not going to be very functional at sleep as well. So take a look at our main episodes, 1 to 4. They deal with the main building blocks of what you need. I like the idea of keeping your desk area as zen as possible. Put some things there that deal with stress. Put some things there that, will keep your mind off of things, and have your desk facing something that is peaceful and calm. If you are staring at the person that is constantly bothering you, annoying you, or hurting your feelings, turn your desk around. Sometimes you could close your door or put on your headphones. You don't even have to have them on.
You got those reports yet? Ready yet? Georgia, you got those reports ready yet? I need those reports. Why are you eating? Start giving me reports.
Put on your headphones and listen to some calming music, or even better, just put in your earpieces. People will think you're listening to music, and you don't actually have to listen to anything, and people will leave you alone.
It's like that commercial where the guy's eating cereal. It's so crunchy you can't hear himself being fired, or people yelling at him. He's just in a super happy state eating his cereal, and all insanity breaks out around him.
Right. I also like the idea of keeping always a to-do list, a journal at your desk where you will take the time to write down everything that you've accomplished, and also your to-do lists for the day, so that when someone says, hey, Georgia, are you able to file this report for me? You can say, well, either yes or no, I can, but you can also then right away state all of the things that you have to do. Well, for the boss, I have to do, A, B, and C. Would you like me to do that first? And then it'll be them saying, well, I wanted you to do this instead of the boss, so you won't get into trouble. And it also will help you if when you ask for the raise, you can state all of the wonderful, fabulous things that you've been doing and break down everything that you're doing. So say that you're doing a huge reupholstery to a furniture set. Break it down into all of the steps that you have to go into and the time allotment for those steps. And always give yourself a little bit more time because every task takes much longer than you expect it to.
On Iterate this week, we had a freelancer on, Jeff Broderick, and we asked him how he maintains, because if you're freelance, you have different clients, and how he prioritizes them. And he said that every one of them gets 10 hours a week, and he knows that going in, and it's in his contracts. When you hire me, you are getting 10 hours a week, and he doesn't hire more than he has hours to do. And of course, there are always situations and circumstances, but he thought being upfront with that and making sure that he had a sane system was really important.
I like that. And you go into it and you already know, and give yourself extra time for everything that you're doing. Just always know that things usually do take a little bit longer, and it will allow you that freedom. And if there is a problem and you are becoming overloaded, mention it to your boss that there is more that you are doing than you have to. Most people are relatively compassionate, and by you stating that, you need someone else to do it, perhaps you need to delegate to someone else to help you with something. A lot of type A personalities have a real trouble with saying, could you help me with this? Mm-hmm. And so they don't, and they take on way too much, whereas someone else might be more than happy to help you out and deal with it.
Well, you think you'll get the gold star if you're the one always coming to the rescue, but in the end, you're just the sucker who always came to the rescue, and everyone else went out and had fun.
Yeah, you're not going to get a gold star. You're not going to get a higher seat in the celestial body when you leave this world for working a lot of overtime hours. And I think that was the one thing that I learned in working at a old age home, was that everyone said, I wish that I had more time to spend with my family and my friends, and I spent all my time at work trying to make piles and piles of money and get ahead. And in the end, I missed my children growing up. I missed spending time with my family. I missed spending time for me and enjoying it. And that's all that we're here to do. Mm-hmm. So remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
As B. Thomas says, don't be that guy. No, don't be that guy.
Yeah, and like you've said before, Georgia, if you do that crazy hectic thing, then you never get your reputation as a miracle worker.
Right, because there are no miracles to be done.
Yeah.
And people will not respect you because you'll be the person that they can throw anything on. Yeah. You will not be respected for that. You also can always, don't take your work home. Do it at your job and then leave it. You can leave the pile of files on your desk and leave it there. Don't even think about them. You'll deal with it when you're on work time. On work time is when you should be dealing with the thoughts, the worries about work. Nothing else.
Now, I can already hear the emails we're going to be getting. But with Georgia, if I don't do it, they're going to hire somebody else. I need this job. They expect me to get this work done. They don't have reasonable expectations, but that's the expectations they have. I need to pull an all-nighter. I need to, come home, see my family, then go right back to work. That's the reality that a lot of people live under. I mean, it's easy to say don't do it, but they might feel like a lot of external pressure to do that kind of stuff.
Sometimes that external pressure is actually self-imposed and not something that is actually from the workforce. There are some cases where people are in very dire straits, jobs are exceptionally difficult, and it's true that if they do not do it, someone else will take that position. But most of the time, it is not that. If you need this job, if there are many people waiting for the job, and if your boss has specifically said that, listen, if you can't get this done, that's fine, but we will be hiring someone else, then I understand that. But know that if you keep on burning yourself out, everything else in your life will suffer. So you're going to have to prioritize, because then your home life will suffer, your health will suffer, and your children will suffer.
And your job, too. You'll ultimately crash at work as well.
Exactly. So try not to take your job home. If you can, don't take your job home. Leave it there.
What about if what if it's not like or maybe it is a long-term thing, but what if it's mostly manageable, but there are just moments that set you off, that shoot your stress up? Is there something that you can do, almost like emergent care for on-the-job stress?
Well, let's go back to episode 1. Do your breathing. Some deep breaths, take a walk, go get some water, make yourself a tea. Even a few moments of that, of giving yourself some time, can really help. Give yourself a time out. Go do something for someone, walk instead of taking the car, and relax. So you give yourself a little bit of a break.
Yeah, one of the people in our chat room, Scape fan, just said that I think it's her boss will text her over and over again at night and on weekends until she answers.
Great. I would do 2 things because that's way over the boundaries of what they're expected. 1, don't reply. And 2, let them know the next day that, just so that you know, I did read your emails, but I do not check emails during this period of time. It is not okay for someone to be texting you through the night and you are waking up and disrupting your sleep.
Yeah.
It just seems so horrible.
It's important to remember, too, that let's say you're paid, just to make it easy, a nice round sum, let's say you're paid $10,000 a year to work work a typical 9-to-5 job. If you're working at home an extra hours, you've just halved your income. You are now earning, $5,000 a year effectively. Instead of $20 an hour, you're earning $10 an hour because you're working twice as much for the same pay. So ask yourself if that's a job that you would agree to. If you would agree that you only want to make $5 an hour, then, that's very different. But don't think you're getting a 10-hour-a-day job and then working double hours, because it's not the same anymore.
Exactly. I would also like to add, learn to say no.
No.
Learn to say no to things. Even if your boss asks you something, you can very politely state that I do not believe that I will be able to, whatever it so may be. This happens more to women than it does to men, unfortunately. It seems like we do not often ask for our pay to be compensated, or if there's something extra that our boss asks us to do, we will often say yes to it and not ask for any type of compensation for that. It is not all right. Know when you are being asked for something that is outside of your scope, and find out if it's going to be, sick days, great. If it's going to be something else, or if it is going to go into a great repository and you're looking for a raise sooner rather than later, then I can understand it. But learn to say no to things. You cannot do everything. And that's hard for me. I'm not someone that usually does say no. I like to say yes to everything and then I'll figure it out. But sometimes you're just going to have to learn to say no. And
it's important to set expectations. I mean, there are some people who are really good at making you feel like you are never doing enough, that you're not living up to their expectations. And it could be that they have utterly unreasonable expectations. So
and what is our favorite saying, Rene?
Your expectations are not my obligations.
Right. Just because they expect that does not mean you have to do it or even feel guilty. Someone else can be angry because they think X and X happened and you did it. It doesn't mean you actually have to get sucked into someone else's whirlwind, which is the next tip.
If George Lucas can make Vader say no in every movie, we can say it at least once.
Shake Charney Vader fist.
No.
Yeah, if you can't say no, by the way, I always have homework, is to practice saying no first.
Always. Oh, wait a minute. Is this the homework?
This is a homework, but you say no first. If it's hard for you to say no, you never say no. Always say no. Spend a day and you'll say no. You want to go out to eat at this fabulous restaurant? No, I don't really feel like it. You might be dying to, but you say no, and then after you can say, yeah, actually, I think that I would like to. It's just a practice. And once you say no, it's so much easier to say yes. It is much harder if you say yes than to say no to something afterwards.
So let me get this straight. So say no to everything, and then if you choose, you can reconsider, change your mind, and go back and say yes. But just to get in the habit of saying no, to overcome, like to swing that pendulum back, you just say no like a machine for a while.
Yes. Yes,
nice.
Exactly. And I like how Sockrell had said, he says, I'll get back to you on that. It's also a good way to kind of put it out.
Please.
But you to be able to actually say no as well. But I like the I'll get back to you on that because most people won't ask again, and that's perfect. You also don't want to get stuck in coworkers' issues, personal issues, fights for others. Try not to get involved. It never ends, right? Even if you are trying to do good, getting involved in other people's issues usually is going to bite you in the tail. It is not going to end well. It causes a lot of stress and strife, and coworkers' issues in the workforce is one of the leading causes of issues that I have as stress that you take home with you afterwards.
It's like drama. It's office drama, and people get enthralled in it because I think it's part procrastination. Because you're involved in the office drama, you can put aside the stuff that you maybe not want to do, and also because it's compelling. It's almost like a soap opera. It's got that intrigue to it. So we're naturally curious people, but it's a double whammy of hurt at the end of the day.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it either way. Even if you're going to do good, they always, shoot the messenger. So just stay away from it if you can. And here we go. For all the perfectionists out there, use the KISS thing. Keep it simple, stupid, and your 80% rule. It's good enough. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be exceptional. Make it simple. Get it done. You can always go back to it later if you want to tweak different things, but just finish it and put it away. 80% KISS.
Nice. So my strategy, do you want to hear what I do?
Please.
People are welcome, especially because I work on the internet. It's sort of a weird paradimensional thing that has no walls or boundaries. It just kind of exists in cyberspace. People can email me. I almost never give out my text because that is the one thing I leave on in case there's a family emergency or a friend emergency. It's the only thing that's actually on for notifications for me. So I almost never give it out. But people can Twitter me or email me. And if you do have my text, you can text me. I will just not answer. I will not answer until it is an appropriate time to answer. And I feel absolutely no guilt. If you want to text me or email me or whatever in the middle of the night or on weekends, you go into the queue, and at the next available time I have to answer it, time when I choose to answer it, I'll get to it. But you are obliged to send things whenever you want. Sorry, not obliged, but you're welcome to, and I will get to them when I can.
I like that rule. And also to, hold off on writing back to something if you're not sure about it. Again, same thing with a conversation. Take a breath. Pause, and then get back to it afterwards, because especially, and there's always a huge work ethic of never put anything in a email about anyone in your workforce or to anyone in your workforce that you are unsure about. That should be a personal to person thing, because I've seen it happen lots of times where a text or an email is suddenly brought up months or weeks later and can be misconstrued in a manner in which you did not or did mean it and bite you as well. So it's never a good idea.
Always assume that anything you put in a recorded form will eventually get out to everybody. And if you're not comfortable with what you're putting down getting out to everybody, don't put it down.
And talking about the tech part of it, is that if you are using your company's servers, they have access to and will and can read all of your emails and every place that you have served. So be really, really careful, because if you're using a company email, the system administrator for that email can read everything. So be really careful, because even the emails between yourself and your wife could be, if it's on company terms and they are looking for something because you did something, they have access to that, and usually it will be in, whenever you sign your contracts, it will be already in that. So please know that.
And you don't know also, if you hate that idiot in Sector 7G, he might be best friends with the sysadmin, and you'll write some nasty thing about him to his boss, and the sysadmin friend will go and tell him, no.
Or that horrible, horrible mistake of sending reply all by mistake and actually sending it to the person that you're trashing. There's no going back on that. I'm sorry does not cut it after you've trashed someone in an email.
What I like about this episode is that you're touching on so many things. You're putting together so many tools that we've worked on in other episodes, everything from the breathing to the nutrition to the communication episode to the putting yourself first episode. So if anyone wants more of the things that Georgia has touched on here, just go back. These aren't news shows. Every one of these shows is as relevant today as it was when we recorded them. And that's what I like most about ZENandTECH. It's a journey. So please branch off and go back and re-listen to those, rewatch, now we're in video, those previous episodes, because it really does expand on what Georgia's talking about today.
Right. And I also like, try to smile and be friendly to your coworkers. A lot of people don't understand how important and valuable it is to be nice to those that you work with. And you can always tell how, I was going to say nice, but I don't think that nice is the proper term. You can also always tell what kind of character someone has by how they treat those that work, let's use the air quotes, under them, but in a position that is lower rank. You should be treating those people as well as you would treat your boss or anyone else. Because in the end, the people that are coming into your work and taking care of keeping the areas cleaned, making sure that all of the emails get out, the secretaries that are pretty much the heart and soul of your job should be...
The ones that handle your paycheck.
They're the ones that really are the heart and soul of the company and can make your life miserable if you're not proper to them. And it's disrespectful if you're not going to treat them with the same respect that you would treat your boss or another coworker.
It's actually interesting because the way that someone treats someone they consider less than them and the way that someone treats someone when they're under stress are often the truest indicators of their base character. If you learn to watch those things, you can figure out a lot of stuff really fast.
And it's all, and again, this is probably my issue, but it's also very hurtful to me when I see someone disrespecting someone else just because of the rank of what their job is. They have family to take care of and are working as hard with care as you are at your job. And everyone has a different place in which they fit in life, and all are exceptionally important and keep a company running. So be mindful of that, and that they're
human beings. They are. I mean, treat people, everyone's a human being. People forget that. They think that people become things, and they're not. They're humans. And quite frankly, that person could invent something, make billions of dollars, and one day be your boss. So it even behooves you never to be a jerk to anybody.
Exactly. You may be working for them one day.
Yes, and they'll remember you.
People remember their child may be their boss. And everyone deserves respect and care. So smile and be friendly with everyone, because when that day comes and you need some help from someone else, they will remember it.
Yep. Awesome, Georgia. That was fantastic. Where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on the website, ZENandTECH.tv, and also on Twitter, at GeorgiaTIPV.
Nice. And you can find me at Rene Ritchie. You can find me at ZENandTECH.tv, Tippy.com, MobileNations.com. We is everywhere. You can find both of us on Twitter at ZenandTech. You can email us at podcast@ZenandTech, or you can leave a comment when the show goes live on the site. We are here each and every Sunday night, roughly 10 p.m. Eastern Time. For all of our shows, including Zen and Tech, Super Functional, Iterate, iPad Live, iPhone Live, Crackberry, Android Central, more and more every day, please go to mobilenations.com/shows. And if you haven't already, please go to iTunes. Please subscribe to this podcast. Please leave a rating. It lets iTunes know that you like the show. If enough of you like the show, they'll feature it, and more people will find it. And we consider this show a dialogue. We're not talking at you, we're talking with you, and we want to talk with as many of you as possible. So we really appreciate it. Georgia, thank you again. That was an awesome show.
Thank you, everyone. And if you can give a small spoken, write up something and, submit to the podcast, it really does help other people find the show. So,
and it gives us ideas for the next shows. Tell us what you want to talk about.
Right. Love it.
Yep. Good night, Georgia.
Good night, Rene. And thank you, everyone, for showing up. It means a lot to us.
Thank you, chat room. Michelle's throwing up Mobile Nations gang signs.
Woohoo!
What is the Mobile Nations gang sign? Do we actually have an official Mobile Nations gang sign? I'm trying to do it now. Is it like
N? There we go.
Mobile Nations. Nice. Woo!
I don't know.
I'm tired, Georgia.
Me too.
I still got to edit these sumbitches.
Well, you don't have to do it tonight.
No, but if I don't do it tonight, people they want to listen to you on their commute to work tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Their expectations.
Yeah, not yours, but okay.
All right, folks, have an awesome night. And please do email us. Let us know how your work situation is, what you're dealing with at work, whether these tips helped, which tips helped, which ones worked for you, and we can talk about them next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everybody. End of line.